You have to see this. Some of the children and grandchildren of both the past and the present Iranian leaders, they're living right here in the United States in mansions. Check this out. So this is the granddaughter of Qassem Soleimani, who's no longer with us. But the point of the matter is that she's been living in LA and living quite well, thank you very much, all while the liberal fake news media and obviously the Iranian propaganda say, hey, everything's great in Iran. You should live here. Well, look at this video of what this young lady's been doing as an influencer in Los Angeles. I think we could agree that this is not at all like what the regime in Iran has been forcing upon all of the women in their country. I mean, if you look at that little clip, some of the cars that she's driving are hundreds of thousands of dollars. And she's, again, going to concerts and enjoying all of the luxuries that America has to offer. All while her grandfather was leading one of the most despotic, dictatorial, and brutal regimes on his own country people. Some of the numbers that we've seen are that upwards of 60,000 plus Iranian citizens were killed by their leaders just in the last 18 months, as uprisings and protests have tried to go against what this despotic regime in Iran has been doing. But there's a nice little update. Marco Rubio heard about this young lady and her little adventures being an influencer in Los Angeles. Well, there's a fun little update that I don't think her and her grandfather would appreciate.
Senior foreign policy correspondent Jillian Turner has more from the State Department. Jillian.
Good morning to you, Harris. These relatives of Qassem Soleimani did more than just praise Iran's regime and enemy of the United States on social media. These women publicly supported the IRGC, that's Iran's military, that's designated a foreign terrorist organization here in the United States. The Trump administration says that amounts to material support. In this case, so take a look at these women. The niece and the grandniece of Qassem Soleimani, they are in ICE custody now, pending removal from the U.S. The Secretary of State says the move came after he terminated their legal status in the country last week, posting on X. Until recently, Hamideh Soleimani Afshar and her daughter were green card holders living lavishly in the U.S. She celebrated attacks on Americans and referred to our country as the, quote, Great Satan. President Trump often touts the operation he had authorized in his first term to take out Qassem Soleimani, a notorious killer responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of people. He counts it among his greatest counterterrorism achievements to this very day. Take a listen to the president a moment ago.
We killed Soleimani.
Yeah. So here in the extended clip, Donald Trump goes on and brags about taking care of Soleimani. But here, his niece and grandniece are in Los Angeles, living quite well, and they're still critical of the United States and our policies. This is a similar mindset that you see coming in from the left, the progressives, and many of the people that are here in the country illegally, where they sit here and champion the countries that they left. And now they're here being critical of America, as she was. Well, the latest update on this young lady is that she's now being held in an ICE detention center in South Texas, in Purcell, Texas, and that she and her daughter will be going away soon. The question is, where will they be going to? It would be quite rich if we sent them back to Iran to deal with what her grandfather did, which is basically ravage the country, drive it into the ground. And now with the 8 o'clock deadline looming by Donald Trump, I think we could all agree that Iran, as we know it, very well may be over. So this influencer from Iran, who's now living in Los Angeles, I'm curious what you think. Is it okay for America to house and to give green cards to the relatives of the same despots that we're targeting. In this instance, we targeted her grandfather's regime as a terrorist organization, and to make it even more rich, she was critical of the country, America, the whole time she was in LA, going to concerts. You can see one of these clips. There you go. That she was going to concerts. There's no question she's not dressed in the traditional garb of an Iranian woman, right, with the hijab. And in this instance, this is, they had, just think about this. That country, Iran, has gone after women when they're not fully covered. I mean, look at this. You can see the underwear of this young lady in the top left. She's sitting here in a camisole kind of t-shirt. Obviously, some short dress with some quite nice car. But the point of the matter is, this is the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy and the standard of some of these people. In this instance, an Iranian influencer that feels that she has the right to live in the luxuries that this country offers, and that she can still criticize and champion her home country, Iran, which of course just flies in the face of her whole lifestyle. I'm curious what you think. Is it okay for us to house these relatives? Keep in mind that Osama bin Laden's all his relatives, they had a compound just outside of Orlando, Florida, going into one of the worst events in American history, right? September 11th. I know that there's others. We have Xi Jinping's daughters that went to Harvard. So they're accessing some of our best schools. They're accessing some of our privileges, going to gun ranges, going to concerts. Where will this stop? I think this is absolutely something that is antithetical to what the American experience needs to be. Absolutely, we can allow folks into the border as long as you do it legally, but we expect a trade. And the trade is that you become a champion of our values and a champion of our country, and not sit here and champion the despotic regime of Iran, in her instance. Curious what you think. If you've yet to subscribe to America First Alerts, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride. And if you want to see the very latest on all of the details of the downed F-15 pilot, where the Iranian IRGC was chasing him into a mountain and the heroic rescue, well, that video is coming up next. You have to see it.